going to show you the big 3 tips on why your open chords suck. Here we go. So, tip number 1 is you're not pressing down hard enough. So that one might be an obvious one, but I'm telling you, the last one is a doozy. Stick around. That last one is going to it's going to change your game if you're really struggling, because it's weird. Okay, so the first one though is going to be you're not fretting hard enough. Okay, so it's one of those things where it just takes some strength and it takes a little bit of practice. So I recommend getting good with fretting in general first. Maybe start with riffs. Back it down a little bit. I don't know, just playing some random stuff. You can play any riff you want. Learn riffs. Get those comfortable first. And if you really want to make it lighter, go into an electric guitar where they're naturally lighter gauge strings. That will make these open chords even easier to press down if that's your big struggle. Also, you can get thinner gauge strings on an acoustic guitar if this is what you're using. I anticipate most of you are playing on an acoustic. It's a myth that you have to start on an acoustic guitar. I don't know why. It kind of makes sense, I guess, but there's plenty of students that I have in this school that are like, hey, my friend gifted me an electric guitar, but I would need to go get an acoustic to learn, right? I'm like, no, it's the same thing. Now, obviously, there's some differences, but I actually tell them it's even easier to learn on an electric guitar, so don't feel like you've got to get stuck in that rut and only learn on an acoustic, especially if applying pressure is your struggle. How you'll know it's a pressure issue, say if you're playing a D, for instance. It's actually a great example because it's a good example for every tip that we have, by the way. You'll see why in a second. Because if you test it out, if you hear a mute or a buzz, then you know you're probably not pressing down hard enough. Okay, that leads me to my next tip. This is another kind of obvious one. D is a perfect example because everybody always messes this up. Everybody. I'm sure I did too. Right? Oh, what's happening? Well, what's happening is your fingers need to arch. Your fingers have to come up. If you're pressing down really firmly and you know there's no more pressure you can put on this thing, in that case, you gotta arch. Bring those fingers up. Make the claw. Okay, get used to that. And that's why guitar is difficult, because that's kind of weird. No one does that, right? So, get those fingers arched. A lot of students want to do something like this. Play kind of lazy. Now, you gotta bring them up, and you gotta press right down in the fingertips. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of my students will kind of get lazy and do that. I don't mean lazy like to insult anybody, because I probably did the same stuff, but it's painful, right? So that goes back down to the first, kind of tip that I was talking about, where you can get thinner strings. Thinner strings will really alleviate a lot of your problems. So anyways, that's tip number 2, and that is to make sure you're arching properly. All open chords will require a nice, good, healthy arch. Okay. Third one, here's the weird one. This is the one that you're going to be like, no one's talking about this. I don't think I've ever seen anyone say this in a video, and this is one of my big secrets to getting my beginners to playing open chords. Okay, point at your nose. Hear me out. Point at your nose. Watch. If I play, I'll go back to the D major. If I play D major like this, like a lot of beginners do, where their nails are out that way, if you can kind of see it, they're pointing that way. Square them up and point them right at your face. So if I were to extend them, I'll be pointing right at my nose, okay? And that is a weird but super effective tip. And if you watch me play open chords, you'll see that's what I'm doing anyway. Right? If I go doing this stuff here, I see a lot of beginners doing that. So that's why it's like, hey, turn them around, point it at your nose. If you're doing this, it makes it way harder, okay? And then if you're trying to shoot it way down the neck, that's also just not good technique. So relax, apply plenty of pressure, plenty of arch, and then point your nails at your nose. That's the weird one. You know what? I'm going to give you a bonus tip. Don't turn this off. Here's another one. So this is not common. This is actually kind of rare, but I've encountered this a couple of times, so I thought I'd just throw it at you. The fourth way in which your open chords suck is you might be pressing down too hard. So I've had some students that actually have this problem, especially whenever they go from an acoustic guitar to an electric guitar, especially like a Les Paul. So why that is because the strings are thicker on an acoustic guitar than they are on an electric guitar, traditionally speaking, that is. The pressing down and the mashing, if it sounds like that, then that means you're just pressing down too much and you're yanking on those strings. So chill out, chill out. That's only happened a couple times with like the big guys, you know, with good hand strength, which is great for bar chords. But sometimes they can get overzealous and actually mash those strings too much, bending them and therefore throwing them out of whack. And those are the three, actually 4 reasons why your open chords suck and how to fix them. And I really hope I helped you. This lesson comes from thousands of lessons. So this is really concise. If you guys appreciate me giving away all these little gold nuggets, please please leave a comment and tell me you love me. It makes me feel good whenever I see that, and it keeps this channel moving forward. Also, become a Patreon member, and I will be super grateful for you. I've got a lot of great content on there, bonus content, and I've got a lot of good tabs and chords and diagrams, little extras that I do. I go the extra mile for those who support me financially. Really appreciate you guys. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you in the next video.